Hey everyone, it's Anthony here at Talk and Review, and today we're talking El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Let's go. So El Camino is written and directed by Vince Gilligan, who's most famously known for Breaking Bad, and it stars Aaron Paul reprising his role as Jesse Pinkman. Yeah, bitch! Spoiler warning just right now for anyone that hasn't seen Breaking Bad. You probably shouldn't watch this movie if you haven't, but if you haven't, go watch Breaking Bad first. Go do it. So this story follows Jesse Pinkman after the events of Breaking Bad, basically trying to get back to some sense of normality and try to live a normal life. The basic plot behind the movie is very simple. It's Jesse trying to get from point A to point B, and to get to point B, he has to do a number of things in between. That basically takes us on a little bit of a journey, but that journey is comprised of flashbacks in order to make sense of what Jesse is doing, because otherwise you wouldn't really know how he knows what he knows. Overall, this is a decent story. It's a decent movie for Jesse. I think that Vince Gilligan, I don't know what's happened. I mean, it's taken 6 years for this to come out, and I don't know if somewhere along the line he just really wasn't satisfied with the ending that Jesse got. Personally, I thought the ending of Breaking Bad was perfect. So, it's not necessarily a movie that I needed to see or I needed to happen, but obviously it's something that he was passionate about, and given the fact that he's made a movie about it, is something that he wanted to explore further. And like I said, I'm not sad about it, I'm not mad about it, I didn't need it, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. In fact, it's a pretty good movie. Probably the best compliment I could give this movie is it feels like a very, very long episode of Breaking Bad. And that's definitely not a bad thing. I love Breaking Bad. In fact, I'm currently re-watching Breaking Bad. And I feel like it definitely gives the character some form of closure if those of you out there really wanted to know what he did after the events of the end. This story makes large attempts to try and give you the closure that you need if you were one of those people. That being said though, there are points of this movie that don't really sit that well with me. Like I said, first off, I don't think the movie was entirely necessary, but we got it anyway. It's not the end of the world. Secondly, and this is only a minor thing, but I think it's something that I think people will mention and people will talk about, is because there is a 6-year time difference, the characters look visibly different. Todd in particular looks a lot different than he did when he was in Breaking Bad. Again, it's not something that's so major that you're like, no, I'm done now. But it is a little off-putting because you can tell that these actors have aged. And when you're trying to immerse yourself back into a world that you're so familiar with, so much so you know exactly what people look like, when they look different but they're in the same time, it does throw you out a little bit. It's not a major thing, it's just a little thing that I think people might pick up on. I think there have been some comments made already about Fat Todd, but it's just a little off-putting more than anything. There's also one particular scene in the film that I thought was a little bit overboard. It was a little bit over the top, and I won't spoil it because I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone. I want you to go out there and watch it if you're really interested in it. But there's one scene at a welder's that really, really felt forced. It really, really felt like it shouldn't be there. I think a lot of the great things about Breaking Bad is how grounded it was and how real it felt. And the majority of this film follows on from that really, really well. But there's one particular moment, as I said, this moment, that really takes you out of it because it's just so forced. It's just so fake and it doesn't feel like something that would actually happen. And again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just doesn't fall in line with the themes of what has come before it or what it's trying to do within the film. They were really my only negatives about the film, if I'm being honest. It was very, very tense. There was times where you're at the edge of your seat and your heart's in your mouth, so it still has that very same feel that you had in Breaking Bad. And I think Vince Gilligan has done a really, really good job with this movie. My main gripe about it is, like I said, I just don't think it was necessary, but that's a personal opinion. So let's talk about Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman. Aaron Paul simply is Jesse Pinkman. There's no distinction between the two. When I see Aaron Paul, I don't see him, I see Jesse Pinkman. And there's no difference in this movie at all. You see him, you feel very familiar, very comfortable, and it's a testament to his acting ability considering he's not played this role for a very, very long time. He's jumping straight into something that's almost kind of in the middle of something, so you're not starting something over again. You're right in the middle of what people are very familiar with, and he hits the ground running, and he's absolutely brilliant in it. I can't fault his performance in it whatsoever. And if I'm being honest, all the acting and all the performances in this movie are great and I can't fault them. One of the real interesting points that I want to make about this movie is the character of Todd. Now, if you've seen Breaking Bad, you know how much of a bad person Todd is, but this really dives into how deranged this character is. And it's a really nice deep dive into this character a little bit more, because he is almost a vital part of the end of Breaking Bad, but you don't really see him a lot or enough to kind of really understand him a little bit more. But I think this movie does a lot more to make up for that, because you really kind of get to understand how deranged this person is. And again, everyone does a fantastic job in portraying their characters, so there's no issues there at all. Overall though, I think if you're a Breaking Bad fan, you are going to like this movie simply because it's more of Breaking Bad. I don't think anyone can watch this and say this doesn't feel like Breaking Bad. It feels exactly like it. Like I said, so much so it just feels like an extended episode of Breaking Bad. And you can't knock it. You can't knock it for that. The only thing I suppose that you can really say is this film necessary? That's the question. Because personally, like I said, I don't think it is. But I'm not upset that it's here. I just didn't necessarily need it. And the good news about that is, if it wasn't a good movie, I could always say, well, I'll just toss it aside because I've got my perfect ending. And if it is a good movie, great. What did you think of El Camino? Do you think it was necessary? Do you think it's good? Do you think it was bad? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We've got more reviews coming out this month. So given the fact that it's Halloween at the end of the month, what we're going to do is we're going to drop a review of our favourite scary movies every day for the week leading up to Halloween. Just for you. Just for you guys, because we know you love horror movies. So make sure you stay tuned for that, and I'll see you on the next review. Peace!